Hello, you wonderful people. I know that I haven't filmed in a while, and it is because a lot has been going on. First of all, I met my boyfriend, and we were in a long-distance relationship for over 2.5 years, and then we met in person for 2 weeks, so I was busy spending time with him. But I also had a health flare-up. I had an eczema flare-up, so I've had very dry skin, swelling around the eyes, and my lips were swollen too, but thankfully it's a little bit better now. I had a flare of muscle weakness and other things, but I am here to film a video now. I wanted to talk a little bit about an experience that I had with my tics in public. Someone wasn't very understanding about them, and I wanted to bring up some teaching points from that. So I went to a pottery painting barn with my boyfriend, and we chose the piece of pottery that we were going to paint, and we started painting, but I was ticking quite a lot because I do that a lot in public. I often tick more in public, and I have coprolalia, which is tics where I swear, so I was having the swearing tics. But unfortunately, the person who runs the pottery barn came up to me and said, "I know you probably can't control it, but we can't have swearing here." That is actually not an appropriate thing to say, and I wanted to explain why. So they're basically asking me to control the uncontrollable, first of all, and that doesn't make any sense, because if they know I probably can't control it, why would they say that we can't have it here? Either that, or they're asking me indirectly to leave, which is discrimination. So, that's very inappropriate treatment for someone. Me and my boyfriend were trying to explain to them that, I can't control it, so why are you even asking that? My boyfriend said, "You're asking her to control the uncontrollable, it makes no sense, this conversation is pointless." And they said it's because they cater for children too, and they sometimes have children there, so it's not acceptable to have around children. But there were actually no kids in the pottery barn at that time. We had went at a time when all the kids were at school, so, there weren't any kids there, and there were unlikely to be any kids there for at least a few hours, so, we thought it was fine. And also, as well as that, people with swearing tics should not have to hide away from children. Swearing tics are different from swearing intentionally. Swearing tics are unintentional, they have no meaning behind them, and if you just say to a child that, they can't control it, so don't repeat it, they have a condition which causes this, then kids are actually really understanding. For example, my cousin, when they were like 8 or 9 years old, they said, "I don't like school because loads of people swear," and I said, "Well, isn't that the same as being around me though?" And she said, "No, because you can't control it and they can." So children are actually really good at understanding these things, and all you are teaching children when you ask or tell people with swearing tics to leave or be quiet, you're teaching them that disabled people should be ostracized. You're teaching them that disabled people should be isolated from society. That is not an appropriate lesson to be teaching anyone, especially not children, because we want to create an inclusive society for future generations, and that is not how we do it. I explained to the woman at the pottery barn that, swearing tics have no intention behind them, and I told them that it's actually quite discriminatory for them to say that. And, I was shaking because I felt humiliated that they'd said that to me, and the adults who were there, they were just staring. So I didn't feel comfortable, and I felt like my tics were going to get worse because, if you feel like you're going to be judged, you get more anxious and then you tic more. So I decided to leave. So I didn't finish my pottery, I left, my boyfriend left too, and then the person who runs the pottery barn came outside and said, "Are you coming back in?" And we just explained, we don't want to support discriminatory businesses, we don't feel comfortable here. And they were like, "Well, we didn't tell you to leave." And then they were saying, "Well, we couldn't have known until you explained your condition." But the thing is, they did know, because they said, "We know you probably can't control it," but the fact that they said that I probably can't control it shows that they did know. They're just denying it because they don't want to get in trouble, and they don't want to, admit that they did something wrong. And my tics yelled, "I'm going to sue you." I wasn't actually going to sue them, I'm not going to sue them, it was a tic, and I told them that's a tic, and they just laughed and said, "Good luck with that one." But that kind of shows that they didn't understand the seriousness of the situation. Telling me that you can't have my tics there is the same as saying to someone in a wheelchair, "We know you can't walk, but we can't have wheelchairs here." It is exactly the same thing. It's a disability. Tourette syndrome is a disability under UK law. And they said, "Well, we have a lot of people with special needs here." And I'm just thinking, well, maybe you do, but you clearly don't understand, and you clearly aren't creating a safe and accepting environment. So, I don't understand why they're saying that. They should have just admit their mistake and say, "We said the wrong thing, we shouldn't have said we know you can't control it, but we can't swearing here, thank you for teaching me. And my boyfriend was trying to talk to them, to explain to them the situation when we were outside, but they refused to listen to him, and they were saying, we're not talking to you, we're talking to her. But the problem is, when I'm that overwhelmed, I struggle to speak because I'm autistic, so I kind of wanted them to talk to him, and he was like going, hey, listen to me. Like, yeah, he was snapping his fingers, but that's just because they weren't listening. And they just went, fine, I'm not speaking, I'm not doing this, and they literally stormed off and shut the door in his face. And I'm just like, what sort of service is this? It was a really weird situation, and I was just crying for ages after that. I had a massive meltdown. I was crying, and I was saying, like, why can I not exist in public like everybody else? Why can I not just be treated like anybody else? Why am I not included? Why am I treated like a problem everywhere I go? You know, I was having a full-on meltdown, and I was crying for like an hour because of that. And it triggered a lot of my intrusive thoughts, and this is the impact that it can have. Humiliating somebody in public like that for something they can't control. And coprolalia is a really stigmatized symptom, but people with coprolalia or any other disability symptom should not be hushed away from an environment or hidden away from children, because we need to teach the children to be inclusive and accepting. Swearing tics are not the same as intentional swearing, because swearing tics have no meaning behind them. It's no different to me ticking the word carrot or tree, because overall they have no intention behind them. And if you just tell a child that they can't control it, so, you know, don't repeat it, be understanding, then they do understand. I found that. It's still discrimination. Saying that you can't have swearing there, that's discrimination for people with coprolalia. And I know they were probably concerned that the customers would have a problem with it and leave, but to be fair, if your customers leave because there's a disabled person there and they're not comfortable with that, then what sort of customers are you even serving? You just need to explain it to them that this person has a disability and can't control it. I wrote a Google review and explained what happened, and, you know, they replied basically saying if anyone has anything that they feel we should know, they should tell us before. But the thing is, I don't think we should constantly have to tell our disability and medical information to everyone at every venue we go to. It is absolutely exhausting. Already in shops, when I tic, I'm saying to people, oh, I have Tourette's, oh, I have Tourette's, oh, I have Tourette's, you know. And technically you shouldn't have to share your medical information with everybody. And I knew that they did know, because they said, we know you probably can't control it, but... So they did know, and they're just trying to deny it. And it is exhausting for people to expect you to constantly have to share your medical information and diagnosis with them at every venue you go to. It is exhausting and takes up so much time. Overall, the point in this is me saying that children are often very understanding about these tics if you just explain it to them, and teaching them that people with stigmatized disabilities and stigmatized symptoms should be hushed away or hidden away is never an appropriate thing to teach someone.